It's Talking Reds, we're back, Happy New Year. Gareth Roberts, John Gibbons, and the Reds are boss, aren't they? I think that's the first thing we need to talk about. Since we last done one of these, the last one was previewing the Arsenal game. Obviously the Arsenal game didn't quite go to plan, but we started so well. The keeper does what he does. And then we get back into it and get a draw out of it. So I think now bolted onto the other result, it doesn't look that bad, does it? A 3-3 draw at Arsenal. Since then, obviously, we battered Swansea, we beat Leicester, a comeback win, and then Burnley with a late win with the centre halves combining for Clavin to put it in the net and send the away end mad. So that's a good Christmas, isn't it, basically, for Liverpool? That's a good set of results.
Yeah, definitely. I think you'd have took 10 points before the starter from those 4 games. As I said, the Arsenal one was a bit disappointing because we played so well. We played off the park really first half, and I think Arsene Wenger said, it's strange to look back. It feels like ages ago now, doesn't it? But Arsene Wenger said, they thought they were fortunate to get in only a goal down, then to get the second and to not win the game was frustrating. But after that, you've got to then go and win your 2 home games, haven't you? So you've got to say, well, these 2 home games against the team 7th and 8th in the league, we need to be winning both those now. They managed to do that, and as you say, in very different ways. Yeah. Wiping the floor with Swansea really, who looked sorry, I would say, on Boxing Day, and then the comeback win against Leicester, and so that means you can go to Burnley, and it felt like a little bit of a free hit to me. It felt like one where, again, a draw wouldn't have been the worst result in the world. Although, again, if you'd have drawn in the way that it looked like we were going to, you'd be disappointed. But Big Wagner, I think he wants to keep his place, doesn't he? He's not bothered about this lad who's 75 mil.
It was great that, though. I thought what was funny about it is that basically Lovren thinks he scored it, doesn't he? And he's going mad, he's pulling faces, he's pushing people out the way, he's getting in the away end and all kinds, and then Clavin's sort of there going, I scored that, like, it's my goal, that. Yeah. So that was quite funny. Well, 16 unbeaten now for the Reds, which we've all got to be delighted with. It's still really tight at the top. Liverpool 4th place at the moment. But a few other little things that I noticed this morning when I was looking at the league table. So Liverpool's goal difference now is the same as Chelsea's, and we're only 4 behind Manchester United in terms of a goal difference as well. So for after all the complaints about the defence and everything else, the fact that we scored 50 goals in the league now is holding us up quite nicely. Elsewhere as well, while we've been away, obviously we've signed Van Dijk, which is quite nice. It sounds like he might not play in the derby on Friday. It sounds like they might wait for the Man City game, but we'll see. I mean, in terms of games as well, we have got the Everton game in the FA Cup coming up on Friday. There's going to be loads of stuff on the Anfield app about that this week. Manchester City after that, then Swansea, then Huddersfield, and then Spurs. So, there's no let-up, is there? It keeps on going. It's still mad, and it's still everything else, really. I wanted to mention about Klopp as well. Klopp in January. We all know that he had a bit of a nightmare last season and sort of the wheels fell off. In 18 games at Liverpool, he'd only won 4 in January, and 2 of those were against League 2 opposition. So obviously we've kicked off this year by beating Burnley, which is a good start. But also as well, we're going to come on to the papers, but there is a stat in there which we'll read out properly when we're doing the papers section. But it's basically saying that out of all the teams yesterday, Liverpool ran the most. And obviously won. And it's not just about running, obviously, but I mean, it also suggests that they've got things right. And I think a pleasing thing about the Burnley game, aside from the win itself and the 3 points, is that it feels like we've got something in the tank here ready for Friday, doesn't it? We rested a few players. There's obviously question marks about Salah and about Coutinho and about whether they're over these injuries. There's also the issue that Mane and Salah are going to Ghana on Thursday night for the African Player of the Year awards. It's them 2 and Aubameyang who were shortlisted for it. Klopp's let them go. Private jet job there and back. And he's just basically said, well, it's sound, they can have a kip on the plane, but it is a 9,000-mile round trip.
We've double-checked that, haven't we?
We've double-checked it, yeah. There was conflicting claims in today's newspapers, but the Liverpool Echo got it right and the Daily Mail got it wrong. But yeah, I mean, what do you make of sort of how he's managed the team lately and what he's going to do going forward?
Yeah, it's interesting. He's rotated more than any other manager in the Premier League. It feels it's gone completely the other way from what he tried to do last year, which was playing a lot of the same lads really. He talked about rhythm a lot, didn't he, and how he referred to the players after rhythm. This time around, he's changed it quite a lot. It looks to have benefited us so far. We'll have to see on Friday. I think there's been a couple of occasions where I think fans have maybe disagreed with what players he's played in certain games rather than the idea of rotation. I think most of us accept rotation now as a necessary. That's why we've got the big squads, and it's also notable, I think, that all the teams in the top 6, the only one that have lost a game in the last 5 is Spurs, and that was against Man City. And so the top teams are finding it a little bit easier at the moment, albeit Man United have got quite a few draws in there. But for the teams who were a bit lower and haven't quite got the big squads, that they're finding it harder at this time of year. Burnley only made 1 change, didn't they, which I was quite surprised. Well, and I thought they looked gone on 60. I mean, they then go and get the late goal, but I think they put a big shift in first half and then notably dropped off towards second half, and that's when Liverpool were able to get into the game, were able to dominate and take the lead through Sadio Mane. And so, yeah, we seem to have done it well. It's all geared up for Friday now, and then it's a little bit of rest, I think. I don't think we play again until Man City, so we can be fully focused on getting our best team on the pitch on Friday, because although Everton appear to have packed and shooting, it's still a big game, and I'm with you. The FA Cup is our best chance of silverware this season, and this season feels to me now that you wanted to cap it with something in May, don't we? You know, it feels like an exciting one now. It feels like one where the team's coming of age a little bit and improving. You can see how it's developing, but you know, you need something to show for it in the end of the season. I think Champions League's going to be difficult. I'm not saying we can't do it. We've done it before, but it's going to be difficult. Whereas FA Cup just feels a bit more winnable. So I'm hoping that we're putting our eggs in that basket this weekend at least. Yeah,
there's loads of character and loads of spirit about what Liverpool have done over Christmas. But as you say, John, we could do with putting a trophy in the cabinet because it's been too long. We're going to be back in a minute when we're going to have a chat about today's newspapers. Okay, so the papers and the news today then. The big one this morning was, comes as a bit of a shock. Pep Lijnders is going to Nijmegen to take over there as the manager. A very valued member of the backroom staff at Liverpool, isn't he, Gibbo? And you know, if you look at the statement that's gone out today, it's clear. I mean, Klopp talks about Lijnders' family, talks about being close to them, talks about all the great work he's done at Liverpool and how valued he was and is. And so he's turned down other jobs as well, Lijnders, while he's been at Liverpool. So it's perhaps a little bit of a surprise that he's going now. It is a blow, I'd say, because you know he was so integral to the team. He was seen as this sort of bridge between, you know, the youth teams and the first team. But also, I mean, we got to see a little bit of this, didn't we, when we were in Hong Kong? That, you know, he was really involved in the training. He was stopping it, and he was pulling players to one side and having words with them. And we sort of, I think we shouted something to him, didn't we, when we seen him a bit later on about, you know, someone being offside that day. And he knew what we were on about like that. He, you know, he's one of these fellas that you can tell is really switched on, is noticing every little thing that's going on the training ground, and was probably a good sounding board for Klopp and the rest of his team. So it is a blow, isn't it? But I mean, it looks like he wanted to try this opportunity in Holland. Yeah, which is fair enough. I'm sure he's always deep down had ambitions to be a manager himself, and maybe just bided his time for the right job or when he felt he was ready for it. Really, it has come out of nowhere, as you say, and I agree with you that it's a blow to the club because of how popularly received. Everyone speaks so highly of him, and that's a key role he had as well. It might not be the most high profile one, but the academy and the training facilities at Melwood sometimes seem very far away from each other as well. People have talked about it being 5 miles. That sometimes feels like 500 when you're at the academy and you're scoring goals for youth level, but you're wondering if anyone's taken any notice. You know, I think there was one past manager in particular who famously never went to Kirby and Hodgson, whereas others have been a bit more involved. Klopp has been down there. I think his second day he was there watching the under-18s and things like that, but he can't be there all the time. And so having someone there who is the bridge, who's got the respect from everyone at the club, from the kids right through to kind of first team players, and you know, is a bit of a blow really. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I saw someone
mentioning Michael Bale today because he was the under-23s manager. He went out to Brazil, that didn't work out, and now he's back working at Liverpool. So maybe he's a natural fit for that because he knows a lot of the younger players, but also very switched on tactically as well. So maybe an opportunity for him. But yeah, it is a bit of a blow, and one you won't necessarily look. It's not going to affect us trying to beat Everton on Friday, but further down the line,
it might be developmental thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean, it is January as well, so there is the juicy gossip going on everywhere right now, and there will be lots and lots of Anfield Rap Gutter shows. If you don't know what that is, it's basically Rob Gutman getting very excited about all the players that Liverpool are linked with in this window. He's permanently got his finger on the transfer pulse. He loves all that. He can't tear himself away from his phone looking at the transfer news, and so his shows are entertaining and well liked. And we'll also be doing a video version of that now as well. Hopefully the first one will be this week. Just a short video on the transfer news featuring Rob. So have a look out for that. It'll be separate from this Talking Reds. This will continue to be going out there as well. In terms of transfer news then and around Liverpool, there's obviously lots and lots of Coutinho chat, as expected really. Barcelona expected to come back in with another bid. Reports this morning that Liverpool want at least 160 million for him if they're to consider any bid. There is, of course, the fiasco around this Nike advert as well. That is quite old news now. I'm sure you know what that's all about, but basically, it pops up on Nike's site that you could buy a Coutinho shirt with Barcelona on it or whatever. It's boring. Who's asked? I mean, just to go over it though, there was some interesting stuff from Paul Joyce in the Times about the last time they tried to get him in the last window. They put 3 bids in. 3 bids were rejected by Liverpool. But all this talk about how much they put in, I think there was an interesting bit of detail from Joyce about that. The last bid that they put in was a guaranteed 82 million, with 36 million in additional fees. And when it's put like that, it doesn't sound that much, does it? No. I mean, I know that's ridiculous because we're talking about 82 million pounds. But I mean, in terms of football and how mad it is, and the fact that there was lots and lots of people saying that's a lot of money, Liverpool should just take it. But it's only 82 million up front.
Yeah, and apparently those add-ons were pretty ridiculous as well. From what I remember at the time, seeing some of them, £5 million if Brazil win the World Cup and stuff like that, and you're like, well, we can't just wait around hoping that happens. So it was a little bit. I think there was a Ballon d'Or one as well,
yeah.
And it just kind of seemed to me that Barcelona didn't really. You have to question how much they actually wanted him, I guess, and also how much are they reacting to the changes in the market. It felt like what was 80 million a year ago wasn't by the end of last summer. When and it was their play that Neymar that they kind of changed all that really, but they didn't seem to adapt in terms of how much they were willing to spend. I would suggest that if they are still interested in Phil Coutinho, which they appear to be, that they're going to have to pay a lot more than that. Going into 3 figures plus next summer if they want to take him, because Liverpool don't need to sell, and they've been pretty firm so far, haven't they?
Yeah, and it seems like an odd thing to do to sort of sell them in January. I've got to be honest. I mean, I think loads of people jumped on the conspiracy train because he was out with the thigh strain against Burnley, and I got loads of tweets. I just said, well, they just rotated the side, and it's like, oh come on, wise up, lad, this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, no one actually knows, so what am I wising up about? I just think it's unlikely that they agree to sell him now because the momentum is with Liverpool. We're in the last 16 of the Champions League. We've got the FA Cup to play for, as we said before. We're in the top 4. Coutinho doesn't look to me like he's sulking. He's scoring goals. He's playing well. So why do it now? I mean, I think if you're going to do it, maybe you do one where you agree it now and then he leaves in the summer. But to actually sell him now would be a huge blow for Liverpool. And also, what are you doing? I mean, what are you doing with the money now in January? Everyone would know you had that money. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you've lost one of our best players this season. So it doesn't make any sense to me for Liverpool to sell right now. But I'm sure that the story's got loads more legs. And as I say, it will be covered in Rob Gutman's Gutter Show all the way through January. So look forward to loads and loads and loads of Coutinho chat. In terms of the headlines today on the back of the papers, all of them really have gone with stuff about Mourinho. No more Mr. Nice Guy, says the Mirror. Shut it, Scholes, says the Mail. And basically this story is Mourinho's been acting weird, hasn't he, now for some time, let's be honest. Seems to be really losing his shit about this job at Manchester United. And he's doing one that I remember Gerard Houllier doing as well when he was at Liverpool, where he's starting to get a bit of a cob on about pundits and what they say and what ex-players say. To me, it's dangerous territory, this. It's like, if you're bothered about that, like, why aren't you concentrating on, like, managing the club and that, and, like, stop drawing games and things like that? I know they won at Everton, but, yeah.
Everton packed and shoot.
Yeah, Everton don't shoot. But he's had to go in particular, Mourinho, at Paul Scholes. He says, I think the only thing Paul Scholes does is criticise. I don't think he comments. I think he criticises, which is a different thing. Not every one of us has to be a phenomenal like he was as a player. That does not mean we all have to be phenomenal. He goes on about comments that Scholes has apparently made about Pogba on a number of occasions. But then in this report in The Guardian, it concludes that Mourinho also suggested that several former United players have an agenda. I love an agenda. I love when an agenda comes into it. An agenda against his team. He says, I think they would love to be here, he said, of many former United players in the media. They would love to be at the club, and that's a problem I cannot resolve. Now, the thing about this is that he's come out ready to say all this. He's had a good think about it, and he's thought, right, what I'm going to do today is come out in my press conference post-beating Everton and have a go at Paul Scholes and ex-Man United players. What's the point?
Yeah, it is a strange one, isn't it? And it seems, I think that the Houllier comparisons... a fair one, because he as you say, he found it frustrating that he felt like every time he turned on the telly there was a former Liverpool player saying what they seen as isn't good enough. Manchester United have now unfortunately been the most successful team, so there's a natural clamour to get their kind of players on telly. So you're seeing, as instead of before when it was lads like Hansen and Lawrenson and people like that who people wanted, now it's people like Scholes and Keane who are more likely to be getting the nod, if you like, or being asked to do it. But it's never a good sign when it's getting to them too much, and I think that did happen to Houllier big time when, at first nothing seemed to bother him, and then it became someone's job, I think, to bring him the papers every day, wasn't it? So he could go through them and see what people are saying, and you think that's never a sign that things are going particularly well. So watch this space, I suppose.
I mean, it's quite nice that it's not us, isn't it? It's quite nice to sort of laugh at United and laugh at Mourinho and laugh at him, doing whatever he's doing. I mean, I don't... People always like to find genius in what Mourinho does, and I'm not really sure there is genius in this one. I'm not sure what it achieves. He looks miserable as well all the time. I mean, I thought it was funny. I watched their game on the telly, and there was a bit just before the game kicked off where, like, a kid must have shouted Mourinho for a selfie, like, and he sort of posed like this for the selfie, but his expression just didn't change. It was just like. And I was like, well, smile, yeah, that's a great picture, isn't it? Okay, in the Times, I mentioned this earlier, nice little stat here. Rested players fail to keep up, say the Times. This is actually having a go at Mark Hughes and Stoke, which is absolutely fine by me. They're saying Stoke players covered less ground than any other Premier League team yesterday, despite the players being rested by Mark Hughes. Now, Hughes lost his shit in his press conference, ended up walking out. But it's listed the distance covered for all the sides yesterday. Liverpool, 123.2 kilometres. That's the top one. Then Burnley, then Bournemouth, Brighton, Newcastle, Everton, Huddersfield, Man United, Leicester, and then Stoke bottom. But that's just another little sort of bigging up, really, for what Klopp's done and what his team have done with the side in terms of the rotation. I mean, I don't think everything went right, obviously, against Burnley, and some individual performances perhaps were not the best. It was good, though, to see Lallana back. Yep. Played really well and got stuck in Baresi tackles and all kinds.
Unreal, wasn't it?
So, yeah, I mean, the rested thing, it does generally seem to be working. What was the other thing? Oh, I wanted to have a go at Everton. Why not? We're playing Everton this week. Loads of discussion, as usual, about how much you should have a go at Everton, whether who's obsessed with who and all that sort of thing. I love it, me.
We're going to have fun this week, don't you worry about that.
Yeah, we're going to get stuck into them. We're playing them on Friday at Anfield in a big, massive game. So why can't we have a go at them? We are going to have a go at them. And what I enjoyed, as John has been referring to throughout the video, is that Everton have given up shooting and certainly getting any on target. It's the third game this season that they haven't had any shots on target in a game, the game against Manchester United. But what I like is that Allardyce came out afterwards and sort of defended that fact, which was really weird. He came out with a quote here. It says, "Our attacking powers are limited. I knew that before I arrived, and that's why I've worked so hard on keeping clean sheets. That's our main objective, to make sure we pick up more results by not conceding goals and hoping we can score one to win a game. Our ratio of chances created is very limited." Well, that's because you're the manager, and that's the way you're setting them up, mate. You influence that, Sam. You know what I mean? I don't really get, what he's on about there. I mean, and even in that game, I mean, you could argue that his substitutions influenced the game positively in that the lads who come on did all right, but he took Rooney off and Balassi off, and both had been doing all right, and it was like, and both can score a goal. I don't know, he's just an odd fella, isn't he?
Yeah, I heard an interview on the radio with him this morning. He was basically saying, well, we're going to try and get a striker in January, but I mean, you couldn't get one in the summer, so don't hold up any hope. Like, he's almost like, oh, nothing to do with me, all this. And it's pinning the hopes on a striker anyway, when you think, well, you're still going to have to create chances for him. You know what I mean? You can get in this fella that they're trying hard to get. The guy in from Festive, although it looks like the price is going up and up for him every time. Every time an hour goes by on the clock, and so
Henk Tossen or Tossen.
That's the fella. Price-wise, we sink the deal. That's there in the mirror today, and so. But even him, I've not seen him play, but presumably he likes crosses in the box and stuff like that, and people trying to set him up, and if they're not getting that, then it doesn't really matter who's up front. So we'll see what they can muster at Anfield on Friday, but I think it might be another park the bus job.
I think it will be as well. We will be talking about that on our podcast this week, on the videos too. Out today on the Anfield Apps Tour Player is the review, looking in detail about what happened at Burnley, the tactics, the setup, what went right and what went wrong. There's also a wild cards out today. The idea behind that show, if you don't know, is basically we put it out on our Tour Player subscribers group on Facebook. People to suggest things in 4 categories: LFC present, LFC past, general football and random. They all vote, and then we talk about what they all voted for, basically. So that's what we did, and that's out there today. There's some great chat on there about all you can eat Buffets. The free show is already out there this week. We recorded that on Sunday. If you've never listened to an Anfield App podcast as well, and you're wondering where to start, you can find them on Spotify. They're here on YouTube as well, if you're watching on YouTube. And basically any podcast app, just pick your phone up, look at your podcast app if you've got an iPhone and type in the Anfield app. Download a podcast app if you've got an Android phone and type in the Anfield app. Either way, it's dead easy to get involved and listen to one of our podcasts, and then go from there, really. If you like what you listen to, have a go with the subscription model, which is 40 plus podcasts every month about everything to do with the Reds, past, present and future. Have I covered everything, John?
Sounded good to me.
Yes. Okay, that's been the first Talking Reds of the year. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again tomorrow.